Holy cow, this looks so bad. This is so embarrassing. Why am I showing this to the internet?
My name is Angela and I'm a visually impaired designer.
What's up everyone? Welcome to my channel. My name's Angela and today for my video, I am planning on sharing my first ever design portfolio. The portfolio I'll be showing you are projects that came out of my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. I'm always looking at my portfolio, trying to find ways to improve it and upgrade it so that it works better to reflect my skills that I have now. And it's been interesting to look at my student portfolio from my undergrad degree and how terrible it just really is and how much I've grown over time. Some of the projects are pretty bad, especially the UI UX ones, which I find interesting because that's what my current job is, and I've grown so much just in 1 year of doing my UX job, and I can't wait to redesign those projects specifically. But without further ado, let's go look at my first design portfolio. Alright, so my first project is a poster, and we were assigned to pick a typeface to learn about the history of the typeface and let the poster kind of express the history of that typeface and reflect that. So my typeface that I chose was Garamond, and so Garamond is one of the most traditionally used in books, and so I wanted it to kind of have that feel of a old paper and keep it in black strictly because that's what a book would more look like when Garamond first came out. This project is no longer in my portfolio, but I think it was a good exercise to help with layout and grid and dealing with typography. I think it's fine. Here's a version of it zoomed in a little bit, so it just has the word Garamond, and then there's body copy explaining the history of the designer Claude Garamond, with his picture also on here. Alright, the next project is a poster design. In our type class, we were assigned to create a poster that contained a list so that we could learn how to deal with what lists would be like and how we would approach that. Now, the list that I chose was a list of different phobias that exist. I think there's 100 on there. And this poster, I decided to go with a darker theme because I wanted to feel eerie and creepy. It has a little bit of issues with contrast. Now, that's not really something I was worrying about in school myself even. So basically, it's just a list of phobias all in a line. It's not really organized in a specific way. It's just a body of copy. The concept I was going for was trying to make it so it was overwhelming to read this list and hard to kind of navigate it because it's about fears and playing off of the idea of like claustrophobia and tight enclosed spaces. I did think this project was fun, but this is also an earlier project, so I no longer have this piece in my portfolio either. This next project was fun to work on. We were asked to make 5 icons that were unified together so that we could practice making icons that were cohesive and branded well together. And for me, I chose to do icons for 5 states because I had recently seen some terrible looking state logos and I thought they were really bad. And so this was my attempt at creating some icons or logos or whatever you want to call them for a couple of states, and I just picked 5 states that I wanted to do. So for the icons, I chose Utah. I put the delicate arch because that is one thing that people think of when they think of Utah. For California, I did purple and I did an icon of grapes. Nevada, I did 2 dice and it's a blue one. And then for New York, I did the crown that's on the Statue of Liberty and it's green. And then I have a hibiscus, which is pink, for Hawaii. Now, I've always thought that this would be a fun project to continue and do all 50 states for. All right, so this next project is a project I created in my first ever design class. We were asked to create an illustration only using the pen tool and the shape tool. This was a very time-consuming project. I think I spent like 50 hours on this project. I had a ton of fun making this project, but I soon realized that I picked a way more complex image to replicate and create it into an illustration than people in my class. Because I chose a landscape of me looking out on the cityscape of Seattle, Washington. So lots of building, lots of different shapes, and the leaves were a nightmare. My hair was really hard. It was just like a lot of detail in one little illustration. And because it's a panoramic picture, there was even more picture to create. But I still think that this was a super fun project. I still want to like work on it more, or even I think I'm pretty okay with how it turned out, and it would be fun to print and put on my wall. And this one's definitely not in my portfolio either, because I don't want to be showing projects in my portfolio that I don't plan on creating for jobs, because you want to just only have things that you think you want to do as a job. And if it's not something you want to do, then why would you include it? That would be misleading. Can we just admire this close-up of the cityscape here? So it shows the Space Needle and then a bunch of buildings around it, and it's framed with some trees that have a bunch of leaves on it. Next, we were asked to create a design for a skateboard, and mostly using typography was the assignment. And so one of my favorite artists is Lindsay Sterling. If you don't know who she is, she's a dancing violinist, and she's super awesome. Her music is fantastic. I really enjoy it. You can go check her out, and I don't think it will disappoint. She has some really awesome music videos. Because she's known for being a violinist, on the front of the skateboard, I did a little design of a zoom in of a violin. And then on the underside of the skateboard, I have bright electric colors because that kind of reflects what her style is like. And this is when she was first becoming more famous, and so she wasn't as big. And it shows her in a position of her silhouette of her dancing with her violin with a jump in the air that she was doing, which I think is super cool. And then I have words that describe her. And it's kind of fun to look back at this project because I've kind of followed Lindsay's like journey along the way, and she's grown a ton since I made this skateboard. So that's fun to see. Okay, so the next project is Organic Twist, which is basically a made-up brand that I created. Our assignment was for my branding class, where we were assigned to make up a brand that doesn't exist for something we would want to do. So I came up with the name Organic Twist for a restaurant that has organic recipes that are healthy. And so I came up with a logo that has an organic-y feel font, and then it has a twirly organic shape that I came up with for the logo, and I used brown and green because I really wanted to give that portray earthy tones with it. This isn't like the best project I ever did, but I was still proud of it at the moment. So if we keep looking at it closer, I had 4 colors that I assigned for the brand, and then I created some business cards for someone who would be working there. I created stationery as well to go with that. I also created what I thought a t-shirt would look like for someone who would work at Organic Twist. So basically I enlarged the organic shape on the front and extended to the back, and then on the front I put the logo saying Organic Twist, and then the back I used the slogan I came up with, which was recipes made healthy. And then next I have the logo in context, so on a door with it as a white vinyl, how it might be portrayed on the window in front of the store. And then above that I have a sign of it on a circular sign where it would kind of pop out and people could see walking down the street. And then I have a picture kind of showing the vibe that I would be going for if this was actually a restaurant. So it has a lot of wood and earthy textured kind of organic feel in the environment of the restaurant. Then I extended this project even further, and this one I have to warn you, this one's not my best project, okay? So this was in my first UX UI design class, and I decided to take this existing brand and try to expand it into a project. And looking back, I'm like, wow, I thought at the time this is so good, like I thought it was great. And now I'm like, holy cow, this looks so bad. This is so embarrassing. Why am I showing this to the internet? And I'm showing it to you so you can see examples of projects, but man, this could definitely be improved. And I'm not gonna take the time to improve this one because I just don't think that it's worth it. So first we have what the landing page would look like, guys. And then here's the secondary landing page. So this is just basically showing like another image or look or feel that I would be looking for the website. Then I show a page that shows the menu for the restaurant. I actually remember specifically for this assignment thinking I want to have the full menu on my website because I'm visually impaired and I really appreciate it when restaurants have their menus online. Now, especially currently in the last year, pretty much any restaurant has their menu online, but this was in like 2009 or 10 when not a ton of restaurants had their menus online. So I thought that was a good idea at the time, and I'm glad that I did that. Then I just have like a contact or about pages here. You can kind of see that it's very basic, it's amateur, and I would not include this in my portfolio, that's for sure. Alright, so my next project is definitely a project that is cringeworthy. It is definitely a project that I am planning on redesigning. I really want to redesign this project, and in fact, I think it would be a great project to maybe pursue and actually make into something, but I just don't know if that will happen. This is the first app I ever created, and the teacher that I had for this class was not a UI UX designer. He didn't design apps himself, so halfway through the semester, our teacher changed because my teacher was having health issues, so this one just didn't get the feedback it could have gotten. So just don't judge me harshly on this, okay? It's actually pretty funny to look at projects like this one because I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Okay, I'm gonna stop delaying showing you, but this project was called One Vision. Now, this is an app that I thought would be cool to create where people who are visually impaired, blind, and sighted could have a community where they could chat with each other. There could be articles that could teach about different topics that would help people who are visually impaired or blind, and also resources for people who are related to people who are visually impaired and blind so that there could be misconceptions dissolved. So this app basically is color-coded. And now looking back on it, when I do it again, I will keep it color-coded because color coding can help people who are visually impaired. But I also think that that does not take into account people who are colorblind. So I'll be adding shapes or some type of texture to help with that when I redesign it. And so when you log into the application at first, you're asked if you want to do voice activated, large print, or regular print. And then from there, you're asked if you want to kind of customize what font you're using, a sans serif font, a serif font. You can pick a certain size of font and change that. So that's custom so that anyone can use the app. So then some screen examples. What this app would be like is showing the menu. It's really simple. It just shows the words. It's color coded so you can tap on it. It kind of just looks like a rainbow exploded. Then we have a message center. This is kind of what I have it looking like. A discussion board, notification center, and a person's profile. Then I have contacts and settings. All right, so let's look at the next project. This project I'm actually pretty proud of. I think it's pretty great. So I designed a cookbook, and it was actually for a job that I had at the time. I was working for my sister who's a blogger, and she still has a blog with recipes that are clean and healthy. And her recipes are all just on her blog. So we were thinking about creating an ebook, and that was kind of something we were looking at the time. And then this project to create a little booklet came up. And so I thought this would be a perfect time to kind of combine helping her with her blog, and having a premise for my project was great because she already has really good looking photos, high quality photography. And I was like, perfect, I want to use this for my project. So for the cover, I was really proud of this. It took a lot of work, and now looking at it, I'm like, this needs to be redesigned. This looks so bad. Oh my gosh. So to describe the cover, it is a wood table that's darker, and then I laid out quinoa. Yes, quinoa. Every painstakingly little piece of quinoa, and it's in more of a script font with the quinoa, and it says made from scratch, which is the name of the cookbook that I created. And then here's a couple of images from the cookbook. So this one shows a peach rosemary chicken recipe with an image of the chicken, and then the recipe with the ingredients and the directions on one side. Then I have a spread of a really nice looking tikka masala. It's on like a full spread, and it just looks really nice as an image. Then the last one here is for a molten lava cake dessert recipe. And so I just have the picture of the dessert along with the recipe. All right, so we just have 3 more projects to look at, so just hang in there, we're almost there. All right, so this next project is a group project I worked on in my second year of UI UX design. Now, there was 5 of us in the group, and we all had our own responsibilities working on this project. So like one person created the illustrations, multiple of us worked on the flow of the app, someone worked on the brand identity. Now, once again, this app can use a lot of help. I think this one's a little better than the first one I showed. So this is actually a project I'm currently working on redesigning because I want to be able to put it in my portfolio. So I'm trying to make it look more professional, and now that I've been doing my UX design job for a year, I feel like I've learned a lot of things, and I'm going to make it into an interactive prototype instead of just still screen images. Which I think is a big tip also, if you're going to have app designs or like website designs. So I use like Figma, I also use XD, or I've used Sketch. You can use these programs to create the designs and the flows of the screens, but then also you can animate it so that you can show a video of how it would work, and people can actually click on the interactive prototype to imagine what it would be like if they were using the real app. And it's super helpful to help with explaining like animations, how things flow together as a whole. All right, so here's the screen designs. This app, really briefly, is an app to help people who have anorexia, to help them better learn what they're eating, and so they can see what nutrients they're getting. We try to focus on helping them understand what nutrients they needed instead of focusing on if they were eating. And then this would sync with their nutritionist and their therapist if they wanted to. I won't go into a ton of detail on this one just because it's more complicated, but basically you can earn badges in the app so that you're feeling rewarded as you're improving your nutrition, and it gives you something positive to kind of look forward to, especially for people who don't really enjoy eating or don't necessarily want to eat. All right, so the last project I'm going to show you is my BFA project, which is when you're in your senior year and you have a full year to dedicate to one project. And you get to pick whatever you want it to be. It can be print, it can be digital. You get to pick kind of what you want to focus on to help you with maybe what you want to do in your job when you graduate. And so what I decided to do was create a game. And I wanted to create a game that was fun and bright. I wanted to get better at illustrating, so I really pushed myself to focus on illustrations. So I created fun illustrations for each of the cards, and the game is called Docious, which is a play off of Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. The game is kind of inspired by the movie Mary Poppins. I was watching the movie and thinking about how when I babysit my nieces and nephews, they kind of struggle wanting to do their chores. And it seemed like a common thing that I knew a lot of parents struggled with and would hear about all the time. So I wanted to create a game that would make cleaning for children fun. And so there's 3 types of cards. So the first type of card is the character card. So you get a character card and then you have to act like whatever that animal is while doing your chores. So a couple of examples of these cards would be fierce like a lion. Another example of one of these cards is obnoxious like a rooster. The second set of cards is a challenge that you're supposed to do in combination with your character card. Now, one of my favorite games in high school was the game Curses. I don't know if anyone's played that game, but you basically get a bunch of curses and you have to try to do them all at once. So that was kind of a little bit of inspiration for this game as well. So some examples of a challenge card would be keep your tongue sticking out while doing your task, use your non-dominant hand, work with a partner, do not use any of your fingers, keep both hands behind your back while doing the task. So you can see that the combination of a character card and the challenge card can make cleaning a lot more fun. It can make it more difficult, it sounds like, in a couple of ways, but if you're enjoying cleaning, then it's just gonna make life more enjoyable. And so I really wanted to create these. This was a super fun project to create. I would love to redesign this one, and I think I'm actually gonna make a video showing me redesigning this. I also created a set of cards for rewards, so the parent can decide for themselves how they want to do rewards for the game. But these cards, I was seeing more of an optional thing. If you didn't want to have to think of your own rewards, you could use these cards. So like one of them would be being able to have a yummy treat, or you get to take a trip to the library, or you could build a fort. You could have 30 minutes of screen time. And the deck of cards would have blank cards, so the parent and the child could kind of come up with rewards that were beneficial to that person. Now the idea was the parents could also do a point system, so they don't necessarily need a reward every time they do a task, but maybe after they earn a certain amount of points, they would get a reward. All right, well, that was my portfolio. I hope that was entertaining and at least semi-helpful, like you were able to learn a couple of things looking at it. I think it can be helpful and also interesting to look at other people's portfolios, so hopefully you enjoyed it as well. If you're still made it through the rest of this video, good for you. That's exciting that you made it through, because that was a long one. Make sure that if you haven't yet, give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. In the comments below, I'd love to hear which projects you found the most interesting, and I'd love to hear any thoughts on what you think I should be redesigning. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos from me. And with all that said, that's all I have for you. So I hope you have a great week, and I will talk with you soon. Bye!